Good evening, team players. As we prepare ourselves for the next fiscal school year, 2018 to 2019, I wanted to reflect a little bit that for years we were professing that the school district of Palm Beach County was an A-rated school district, and in that dynamic, we discovered that we were only graduating 22% of the African-American children. And when we talk, we knew that the big ticket this year was going to be safety, and we wanted to bring to the attention, because of the miseducation of our children, we can see that that kind of activity has been taking place in the black community constantly. And I know that it's going to take some kind of special intervention, if you will, to try to help us with our problem that we're having inside of our community. Now, many of you know that the African and African-American curriculum was supposed to be directly responsible for helping you to move everything forward. But because of our slowfulness, we haven't really made that kind of gain. So when we talk about mental health and when we talk about academics, because everybody that I hear tonight are talking about dollars, and it doesn't appear that no one is actually talking about the movement of the children. And we know that at the bottom rail of all of the activity in the world of academia is African-American boys that have been placed in hostile environments. And I'm hoping that as we start this school year, we would really be able to focus on it. Now, Dr. Fanoy, the task force that was organized for the community, the Superintendent Task Force for African-American children, particularly the African-American male child, we started our classes back this past Monday on the 16th, and we're going to need the support of all of you board members to help us to really put some structure in place so that we can ensure that next year, or at the closing of this year, we don't have the same problem with me coming up here asking questions and never getting a response. I'm hoping that we will really work together. I'm hoping that each district would assign someone to the Superintendent Task Force so that we can stay in constant contact with each other, because the children in my community are dying, literally. And you see the ones that you see on television, but I can assure you that even more death is located inside of our community. And we in the African-American community believe that academic education is a ticket that possibly might be able to assist us. And since you are responsible for that, I'm hoping that you will join us. And I pray that y'all have a good start this coming next fiscal school year. And Dr. Robinson, lastly, if we could some kind of way get a real dialogue between you and the gentleman that is running for school board, because it appears that there's a lot of misinformation being given out, about District 7. And I hope that before election time, we can have a real meaningful dialogue, because I think it's critical that we pick the right person as we move ourselves forward in this next fiscal school year. Thank y'all for your time.
Mrs. Wilson.
Good evening. My name's Nina Wilson, and I'm a parent, a concerned parent. I'm here to request a boundary change for my area of address. I recently moved back here to Palm Beach County, and I found out that the school my children are to attend has been changed to Palm Beach Lakes High School. Now, this school is 20 minutes away from my house. Royal Palm Beach High School is 5 minutes away. And I was just flabbergasted why this change happened. Palm Beach Lakes High School is a D-rated school. And I was very concerned about the violence in that area in that school area. My daughter, she is an AP, she takes AP courses, and this school does not provide AP courses. The only way she can take her AP courses is to do it online with Florida Virtual School. So she's very upset. She's so upset that she's becoming depressed about going to this school. Most of the children in our neighborhood do not attend Palm Beach Lakes. They either go to charter, private, or do Florida virtual because of this recent change to Palm Beach Lakes High School. And I was just here speaking for everyone in our neighborhood. Why was this change done? why can't she go to Royal Palm Beach High School, which is 5 minutes away, and not Palm Beach Lakes, which is, I think it's just not the appropriate school for her to go to. So that is why I'm here today.
Thank you very much. Mr. Levine.
Good evening. My name is Lowell Levine. I am the founder of the 501c3 Stop Bullying Now Foundation, considered one of the top 3 in the country based on the number of children we have helped and saved, connected not only with the IRS, the state of Florida, but connected with the Department of Justice in Washington, D.C. You have submitted last year statistics showing there were under 400 bullying complaints in 2017. But the National Center for Education Stats associated with the Department of Education, articles written by Michael Jacobs, a freelance writer for community newspapers, stated there were at least over 2,000. Why there was a difference, I don't know. It could be because of protecting the image, or maybe the definition of bullying is not the same as what it should be. Second, security police. One police officer at a school is not going to help and save and protect your children and your administrators. You need at least 3, 2 inside with dogs and 1 outside. And the reason for that is because here tonight we have 12 police officers or security people for 150 people, but we only have 1 for 2,000 students and administrators. I had the privilege of going to Beacon Cove Elementary School to meet parents on a bullying problem. I just walked around, no one stopped me. I walked to the area where the children were playing and no one stopped me. I went into the front door and it was unlocked and I walked right in. I walked through the hallway, nobody stopped me. There was a police officer on the premises. I could have been a disgruntled individual and I could have probably killed over 100 children just like that. The other thing I just want to explain to you is that my foundation has written articles and has spoken about the elimination of backpacks. Backpacks is a major problem that you're faced with, and I'm recommending that you discontinue backpacks before school starts August 13th. The last 30 killings in schools, 28 of them were carried in with guns, knives, scissors, in a backpack, and one was a bomb that almost went off in Louisville, Kentucky. You are facing a major problem. You are facing a mass killing in Palm Beach County. You're not protecting the children, and I'm warning you right now, and I'm putting everybody on alert. It's moving closer to that. I explained to you last time about the 4 children I helped toward the end of the school system, of which one is brain dead. I'm explaining to you today, and I'm trying to be as nice about it and experienced to the people I speak to. You are setting yourself up by having no knowledge of what's going on. I'm willing to help you, but you don't call me, you don't ask me to come in to talk to you, and I'm one of the top experts. Thank you very much for your time.
Kimberly Gubitosi, Mark Pentel, Chris Perryman.
Hi, I'm Mark Pintel. Thank you for having me. And I'm here to speak about the budget and the increase. And I just want to put to rest some of the stuff that I've heard in the room tonight. If you're a plumber, a restaurant owner, a painter, a mason, landscaper, hairdresser, dog walker, electrician, accountant, lawyer, doctors, nurse, pharmacist, you have to have a budget. But I mean, I guess in the school system, we could just create numbers, taxed enough. I mean, how much money do you have to keep taking from us? I moved to Florida because of the tax system and the attack on the legislature saying, oh, we're trying to keep our taxes low, and people saying, well, we need to raise taxes. No, you have to learn to work within a budget. I mean, I don't understand. I have an MBA and people don't understand basic economics. I have a teacher here was talking about, well, we're cutting back on the services, so of course they have to increase the money. It's not phony money, monopoly money you're working with. You're working with tax people's money. It's money that we're sweating to pay, and it's really an inconvenience, and it's a hardship on people, and you can't just take people's money for the hell of it. It's not fair. It's not just. And it just by saying piggybacking and trying to blame the legislature or blaming other people, you have to kind of rein in a budget. Other businesses and people who make a living, they have to work on a budget. I have to work on a budget. People here have to work on a budget. I don't understand why the elementary school, the middle school, and the high school, they could just create artificial budgets and just create money and make it up. It's not fair. It's not just. And I think that there has to be some sort of accountability. And I ask you to please stop beating up on the taxpayers. Enough is enough. It's easy for some people to say, oh, well, we'll just take $150 million, take the people's money. It's not our money to give away. We don't want to give it away. You said there's a poll here. Who was polled? I wasn't polled. 400 people were polled. Who were these 400 people? I want to know who these 400 people were, because I wasn't polled, and a lot of my neighbors weren't polled, and we don't want these tax increases, and it's just ridiculous. You have to work within numbers. I mean, every other business and everybody else, they go out of business if they don't have the money, but to just try to say, gouge the taxpayer, here we go. Enough is enough. Taxed enough, and this is just, it's not fair, and this has to stop. It's just, you're just destroying people's lives, and it's not fair. Thank you.
My name is Kimberly Gubitosi, and I'm a parent. And primarily this is directed towards Dr. Fenoy, because you have spoken to me before. And there is an ongoing problem. And you all talk about safety, and you talk about taxes, and you talk about money, and you talk about budgets. But you don't talk about the biggest problem you have, which is accountability within your entire Palm Beach County district. And I'm talking from top to bottom. I have a child that's disabled. I moved here under victims advocacy. I risked my family's safety to come here because I have a kid that's been hurt in your transportation system 4 times, sexually abused, hit by attendees, been attacked by the same child twice, doesn't even want to go back to school. And nobody in your administration is held accountable. Not one person, not a police report that's accurate, not a truthful call to CPS that actually states the facts. And I have documentation out the wazoo that I sent to you. That's the problem. So, and we've had a transparency meeting that went nowhere 7 months ago. And a month ago, my son got tortured for 2.5 hours, put in a sleeper hold, because he didn't want to comply with the same boy who victimized him 13 months ago. And nobody's accountable. And I got to watch the 4.5-hour video that I can't erase from my mind now, because I saw it. And I only saw it because the ESE director mandated a copy and hid it on his desktop so the evidence wouldn't go missing again, because there's been 4 incidences off of transportation where police reports weren't written or they weren't submitted. People weren't held accountable. DCF had to go in and reinvestigate the reports that were generated from your officers. And everybody's protecting Palm Beach County schools like they're a god. Well, you know what? You would be worth that tax increase if you actually protected the kids. So you know what? You have bigger problems than all this political BS. And I hate to say it that way, but I don't know any other way to say it. Because I ran and I spend every year moving to protect my family, because I'm under victims advocacy, which isn't your problem. But I moved here so that my kids could get an education. And they're not getting it, because they're too scared to go. Deal with your transportation problem. Deal with your administrators who lie. Period. End of story. And I'm sorry to be like that, but I don't know any other way to do it.
Chris Perryman, good evening. Thank you again to the board members, Dr. Fenoy, Chairman Shaw. Last month I came to you all and spoke to you as a husband of a teacher who was frustrated by a state law that has been kneecapping the career of our good teachers in this district for the last 7 years, which we know as a tenure and merit law. And I promised one of our board members that I would be here tonight to thank you all, because some of you spoke on this issue about non-reappointing teachers, and I just wanted to say thank you and understand that it is critical that we implement some policies and procedures next year before we non-renew some of our annual contract employees, which includes assistant principals, I understand now. So it's obviously easy for me to be biased towards teachers, since my mom's family are retired teachers and coaches from the public education system in the state of Tennessee. And as I told you last month, my mother-in-law retired this year after 3 decades as a kindergarten teacher. And obviously my wife was one of the 145 who were non-renewed this year, so this issue is critical to us. And Mr. Shaw, you were in college, but correct me if I'm wrong, but in 1968, when the Florida Education Association and our classroom teachers walked out they walked out because of underfunding from the state at a time when the attendance was rising sharply, and our teachers were being paid a low salary with little benefits. And over the last 50 years, we've made a lot of changes, and some changes, obviously, as we've seen tonight, haven't changed much from the state legislature, but we've been putting our students first. And maybe in putting our students first, we put our teachers last. So I hope that next year, when you get your form of non-renewed employees, that you take a moment to think about this summer and how it's affected 145 teachers. Thank you.
Thank you. Jennifer Bermudez.
Hello. My name is Jennifer Bermudez, and I'm a teacher in the district. Life isn't fair sometimes, but I do believe that there are times that we can be fair and make things right just because we know that it's the right thing to do. My sister is a second-year teacher, now going on to her third in our district as well. We actually work in the same school together. Unfortunately, my sister was diagnosed with Crohn's disease a month shy of her 14th birthday, and it's been more than 13 years, and the road hasn't always been easy. Our family has been so thankful for her health insurance. The hospital stays, medicine, surgeries have been less of a burden. Our school district provides health insurance, and it's definitely helped her merge from my parents' health insurance to her own. Now, the transition went pretty well for my sister, and she was able to continue to see the specialists she sees that are about 2 hours away and continue to receive the medical help that she needs. Now, the reason all of this is important, or why this matters, is because she found out last week that because she is going to be finishing up her master's program and doing an unpaid leave internship to become a school counselor to better help our students, that she will no longer have health insurance coverage. Our school has tried to do what they can in order to see if there's anything that they could do, and they have been so understanding, but the decision isn't up to them. And unfortunately, for all of us trying to help her with this, there are things in writing that are just simply unfair. I understand that rules are put in place for people and that people just need to follow these rules and policies, but sometimes rules and policies aren't always in the best needs or in the best interest of certain people. As a teacher myself, I can't tell you how many times I've made accommodations because of my students' needs. That's what we're expected to do as educators, right? What is right for one student may not be right for another. With that being said, what is right for one adult isn't right for every adult. In this case, a teacher who happens to have a chronic illness with serious complications in the past. Everyone has different needs. There's something wrong with our system. How can I help to make a change so that this doesn't happen to another teacher in our school district? She doesn't need pity parties or favors, just good health insurance that is going to help her continue to receive the care that she needs. We're talking about more than $6,000 a month worth of medicine if she loses insurance. Medicine that is keeping her healthy and out of the hospital. Medicine that's been working for her body for many years. Why can't we put medicine that's keeping her healthy and out of the hospital? Why can't we put all of this policy stuff aside and give someone what they need? Instead, we tell our teachers to go back to school to better themselves. We tell them that continuing their education is important and it helps them grow. The truth of the matter is, if you go back to school and do those things, make sure that you ask the right people, the right questions before you end up in this situation. Make sure you have money saved and read up on ways that you can avoid this. We require our educators to take internships that require them to be unpaid for months. That is something that she expected from the beginning of her program, which is crazy. Well, that is something that she was prepared for. Unfortunately, lack of knowledge about leave deadlines and misinformation and assumptions about being insured while on professional leave cost her more than she bargained for. She has now had to resign from her position. Could I finish my letter? It's okay, thank you. She now has to, just last week had to write a letter of resignation from her position as a teacher in our school district in order to follow her dreams. How ironic that her dreams bring her right back to this school district as a guidance counselor who has a social work background. How ironic that she is bettering herself and addressing the gap in public schools to support social emotional learning. Yes, instead of lifting her up and supporting her, the system that she has dedicated herself to is actually making it impossible. I was hoping today that for someone to see past all of that and think about what was right here and think about somebody's health and future. So many years dedicated to do better for our kids and their future, and this is how she says goodbye. We need to do better. We need to value our teachers more. The more we value them and respect them, the more they will value and respect the profession.
Thank you very much. That concludes our speakers, so we'll move back to the agenda.
Mr. Shaw.
Mr. Barbieri?
Yeah, Mr. Shaw, if we could get a response back as soon as possible from the administration with respect to the allegations were made at Beacon Cove that a parent walked into that place without anybody checking. And also, I'd like to know exactly what happened to Mrs. Gubitosi's child. So if you could get back to us, Mr. Superintendent, as to the outcome of those two situations.
Yeah, staff is already working on it.